Each day I leave my house to come to these chambers. I ask God to guide my thoughts, to give me the will to speak the truth, and to service my conscience. I have listened and I've read through this 2-page motion moved by a man I respect and I will always respect. But when it comes to facts, the written word, it will go into history. I want to be on record as saying the following. Paragraph 3 of this document, this motion, which says, quote, conscious of his courageous defense of the democratic electoral process during the 1993 presidential election that led to the famous June 12 slogan, which ultimately confirmed MKO Abiola as the winner of the election. This is manipulating and wrestling with the truth. June 12 became famous because Nigerians who voted and the elections result already announced, people were at liberty to do their calculation. But because the chief electoral officer failed to formally announce the figures and declare the winner, the Nigerian people on their own talk about, if you look at the media review, the man who is widely believed to have won the election, because the man who should have announced it failed to do so. The second paragraph, or the fourth paragraph, informed that he stood his ground during Nigeria electoral wishes and aspirations were realized, which culminated in June 12 being marked as a 30th Democratic Day due to his unwavering stand as an umpire. Sir, again, this is not correct. President Muhammadu Buhari, to his credit, decided, and may God bless him for that, said what Nigerians already knew, but coming from a city head of state and president that gave it the currency, he said everybody knew that MKO Abiola won June, election that was conducted on June 12th. Nigerians were really in pain because nobody is able to quote where Professor Nwosu announced the results. It is his failure to announce the result, whether under threat or other whatever forces that prevented him from so doing, that Nigerians were unable to say that he was declared the winner. In fact, I was active in that struggle. When we met with the late General Sani Abacha, he said the reason he decided to order the detention of MKO Abiola was that MKO Abiola proclaimed himself as the winner of the election and therefore as president. It was on that basis Abiola was arrested and he died in detention. If Professor Nwosu had the courage, I emphasize courage as is being suggested here, to announce the winner and damn the consequences. After all, he who is not ready to die for something will end up dying for nothing. We cannot distort history in this Senate. We must be seen to have sentiments that reflect the average feeling of the average Nigerian. Professor Nwosu, when it mattered most, his courage failed him. And when you give national honors and recognition, you do so for people who have shown courage, who have paid the supreme price, or who were ready to pay that price. Lastly, cognizance of the fact that Professor Nwosu laid a landmark foundation, blah, 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 blah. This is the reason it is even more painful that you allegedly have all this courage to conduct elections. I'm on record as saying that Professor Nwosu and President Babangida fooled 18 million Nigerians that voted. Nwosu is not on record before his death as admitting that before I die, let me confess that there was a winner.
You have 1 second. You have 2 seconds remaining.
Therefore, let me round up, Mr. President. I thank you for your this because this is very important. If you couldn't, this is my last point, sir. I appreciate. This is my last point. So I want my in-laws to understand. If he was afraid of the gun, because we are under dictatorship, some people might say, well, but there were Nigerians who were protesting under the gun without minding the consequences. After the end of Babangida tenure, the death of Abiola, the birth of the new democracy that produced President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Obasanjo. Since then, I would have expected Nwosu to say, either on his birthday or on any special occasion, now that we are back to democracy, there is freedom of speech, even the freedom to lie. I would have expected Nwosu to be able to say, I could not declare these numbers.
Thank you.
Now, on my record, Abiola won this election, but I was not able to
Osita,
he died without confession.
Thank you.
That he died without confession cannot be rewarded.